I'm going to focus on timecode boxes because I've got a little family of them together here with 3 different kinds of timecode boxes. So the main timecode box I'll mention first here is that this is the Tentacle Sync. It's the original Tentacle Sync. Then I've got the Tentacle Sync E that came out last year. So the Tentacle Sync, the original one came out maybe a bit over 3 years ago, maybe even 4, time does fly. And so the Tentacle Sync, that originally was on a Kickstarter campaign, and they were like, I think just under 300 US might have been what they originally were going for, around about that. So basically, these were revolutionary when they first came out, only about 3 or 4 years ago, for just how dirt cheap they were. Because normally timecode boxes cost hundreds of dollars, rather than this was just like 300 or so. So they're much more expensive, and also revolutionary for just how extremely small and lightweight it is, because they managed to be much bigger and heavier. And this is about a matchbox size, probably barely more than a matchbox weighs. So it's very compact. So especially, the camera department appreciates this small weight on their cameras. And the Tentacle Sync E is kind of basically the same thing. They slightly improved the scratch mic in it. It's a very slightly different body size and shape, but basically the same. One of the downsides to this is 3.5 is not locking, but they kind of made a locking option to it. And probably the biggest change for the new version is they introduced Bluetooth. So you could look into the app with that, because normally it's got a USB input here. That's how you charge the internal battery. That goes like 30 hours or more, it lasts, and you can do all the settings via your app, via either the USB here if you've got an Android, or via the 3.5 if you've got an iPhone. And anyway, enough about this. So they then brought out the new version at NAB last year, 2017. But what happened at NAB is a whole bunch of other companies also responded with their low-priced timecode boxes, priced around the 300-ish American dollars price, or even less, and also all super small and compact. So we're really seeing quite a revolution in terms of how far forward timecode boxes have just come, and very recently in terms of size and price coming down. And so there was a bunch of different other ones, but 2 of them that came out at NAB 17 are from quite famous established companies. Because timecode system, Tentacle Sync, they're a brand new company that they launched, and like I said, very popular, and they sort of changed the game. But everybody has sort of heard about timecode systems and Ambient. They're quite big players in at least this niche of making timecode boxes. So they also brought out their own products to match the Tentacle Sync. And so you can see the 3 of them next to each other. They're slightly different size, but they are all very small. And so this is the Ambient NanoLockit, and this is the Timecode Systems Ultrasync ONE. And so this, the NanoLockit kit is quite a bit heavier than the Tentacle Sync. Maybe it's even twice as heavy. But the thing is that even double the weight of almost nothing is still extremely lightweight for the NanoLockit. And the Ultrasync ONE is a bit lighter. It's probably halfway between these 2 weights. And so what can I say about them? So the reason I've got these 3 is because these 2 are the ones that I actually own myself, because I bought the Tentacle Sync back before these other options existed, and then I got the Ultrasync ONE back when it came out because I thought it was the best of the new options, and I really like my Ultrasync ones. But then when I was doing the shoot this weekend with the Arri Alexa Mini inside a gimbal up on the Panther crane, there just was no space at the back to allow my timecode cable to go in, because very annoyingly the Arri Alexa Mini has a timecode connection right at the back, sticking straight out in the middle. So it just seems like a kind of a silly place to put it, rather than maybe on the side or angled out a bit on the edge, like say on a F-series Sony or something. Anyway, whatever. So that means I have a straight cable like this, because straight kind of makes the most sense, and then you're less likely to have it angling off and hitting something. But yeah, unless it's the ARRI Mini, in that case it has quite a lot of space. So, I mean, normally this will be fine, but they had Master Prime's anamorphic lenses on the front that are really heavy lenses, and so they're really struggling with balance on the gimbal, which was already, the gimbal wasn't really quite capable of the weight of what they're putting on it. And so they just couldn't give me that extra little inch of room I needed to put the timecode into the camera. So it was really annoying. So yeah, I mean, like, whenever I do a production, I do try to talk about it with the producer and the DOP and the director, if I can, about what they're shooting with and what they need. So I knew, for instance, I'm only shooting with one Arri Alexa Mini, and I have the right cable for it, so I brought it along, and I knew, for instance, that, you know, there wasn't like a second one that I need another cable for, although I do have actually have two of these cables. The extremely observant viewer of this video might have noticed a small change in detail that just happened. That's because I ran out of memory space on my cell phone. Small oversight. I tend to ramble on for too long and I just filled up the whole card. Sorry about that. And also, it was actually really good timing because we actually had to leave the location because they were locking up the gates, so all's well that ends well. So here I am on the side of the road, just the next stop under the very first street light we saw with the car's headlights across the road. I'm filming it for fantastic lighting. And now I'll finish with my train of thought. The train of thought I was saying about how you always have this conversation with the director or the producer and the DOP, if you can, about like the details of the production. So you sort of are forewarned and forearmed, so that you know, for instance, if it's a multi-camera shoot, you know what cameras they're using, what style of shooting it is, so that you know anything that you might be needing on the sound side that's working with the camera department, because it is a collaborative team effort, you're not working in isolation, you have there for them. And so it's just like, though I like sort of had quite a good chat, I just wasn't aware of the fact that they couldn't give me even a little inch of room to fit in the timecode cable for an Arri Alexa Mini from my Ultrasync ONE, which, you know, I really like these. And so I basically put out the bat signal call to say, help, can somebody save me here with a right angle connection? Because if you just simply have a right angle connection instead of a straight connection, that will save that little inch of extra space they needed that they couldn't give me to be in here. So there we go. That's I got one. But unfortunately, that right angle connection for the cable does not match a timecode box that I have. So I had to also buy the timecode box as well that does match it, because I only have 3.5 or DIN connections. And well, this is LEMO connection, and that's exactly how I ended up having in my hands 3 different timecode boxes. The 2 I borrowed, the 2 I own, and the 1 I borrowed. And so definitely, I much more prefer the Ultrasync ones. They just have more capabilities. They have the option for gen lock. They have the LCD screen that just I find so handy. I just do prefer them a lot more. The only good thing I can say, I guess, about the NanoLockit is it is kind of dummy proof. You can just sort of hook it up and it will even detect the FPS. You don't even need to set the FPS. So that's kind of, I guess, an interesting feature. And of course, the Tentacle Sync is a really killer feature, the only timecode box that has it, and that's a built-in scratch mic. So if you're shooting the DSLRs, that's really strong. So they each have their unique strengths, each one of these. But overall, I still prefer the Ultrasync ONE, definitely by far. Second, Tentacle, and third, this. But hey, sometimes it saves you in a tight spot, so I'm glad I had that this weekend. And let's wrap that out and get out of here before somebody decides to run me over on the corner of the road. Because if you don't see another video, I'm dead, that's why. Like, subscribe, and goodbye.